The Bigger Bodies initiative was put in place in hopes to turn Playtime Co. around, to bring life back to the company and raise profits once again. However, it would do the complete opposite, ultimately leading to Playtime Co.'s downfall. The Bigger Bodies initiative was used to experiment on orphans and employees to turn them into lifelike toys, living toy organisms, to increase the workforce and lower company costs. But how do you keep a living toy organism alive? It has to eat. But how? How do all of these bigger bodies eat? Well, considering how some of these toys do not have traditional human anatomy, some likely have their own unique way of consuming their food. Now, we do know for a fact that they do eat to stay alive. This was told to us in a few different situations, but the most notable was by Poppy at the end of chapter 3. She shows us the Hour of Joy tape, then goes on to explain how it happened from her point of view. Senseless slaughter of the guilty and innocent. But once it was all over, the toys dragged all of the corpses down underneath the factory where they would never be found. How the toys ate the bodies to stay alive. So with that being said, and considering it's been 10 years since the Hour of Joy to when we step foot in the factory, the toys do not need a lot to eat. They've likely had to ration their food. There was also another instant from when we had an encounter with Miss Delight. Through notes we find throughout the school, we learn how Miss Delight was locked out of the kitchen from the other teachers. They tried to single her out in hopes that she would die first. One of the notes explained how the pit in her howled for food. She couldn't think of anything other than how hungry she was. However, Barb, her weapon, would speak to her and tell her that if she stood completely still, the other teachers would think Miss Delight was dead. Therefore, they would never see an attack coming. She needs to eat. This confirms that Miss Delight did in fact attack and eat the other remaining teachers inside of the school location to stay alive. Keep in mind, this means that toys ate other toys. This would make sense since they are living organisms. Now, Miss Delight did not have a toy before she was a bigger body, and she was the first monster to resemble a human being. Considering this, it's no secret to how she would likely consume her food. She would just eat like a normal human would. But something that's interesting to point out is her teeth. When we see her, she has human teeth, whereas her real teeth are not the same. This could suggest that Miss Delight tore out her fake teeth and stuck real human teeth into her gums. This would make eating for her a lot easier. But how would a toy actually digest something? How could it process what it's eating if it's just a toy? Well, remember, the bigger bodies are not just toys haunted by the souls of children. Like I've been saying, these toys are living toy organisms, meaning they have human body parts inside of them, such as organs and even blood. We learned about human anatomy becoming part of these toys in a few different instances. During chapter 3, we hear an audio log about the body of a young boy that had been found at the house of Elliot Ludwig. It was found in an upstairs bedroom in a large duffel bag, with the remains being disturbed. Organs as well as key bones from the skeletal structure had been reported missing from the body. This means that the boy's insides were in fact taken out and transferred inside of one of the bigger body's toys. It's unknown which child or toy this was used for. The more notable instant was through the project proposal for experiment 1188, otherwise known as catnap. A lot is redacted, so most of these sentences are not complete, but we can learn a decent amount from it anyways. It mentions rerouting blood and oxygen, talking about reducing the risk of prematurely decoupling the brainstem from the spinal cord, and even mentions the central nervous system. So it's clear that blood, human organs, and other key body parts were being put inside of the bigger bodies, which means that a digestive system was likely also formed. Now, we don't actually see any human anatomy from any of the toys while playing. This of course is because it would increase the age rating if they included that kind of gore. But we do see blood from a lot of the toys, including the likes of Huggy Wuggy and Catnap. So it's clear that the bigger bodies are in fact part human and include a digestive system inside them. This would actually allow them to digest whatever they are eating to stay alive. Now, like I talked about with Miss Delight, she eats like a normal human, simply biting her food and swallowing it. The same could be said for most of the other bigger body toys, like Huggy Wuggy, Kissy Missy, Poppy, PJ Pugapillar, and even Catnap and the rest of the smiling critters. They all have a head attached to a body, meaning after swallowing their food, it would go directly into their digestive system. But there are a few other toys with a quite different body structure, like Mommy Longlegs and Boxy Boo. So how do they eat? Mommy Longlegs, otherwise known as Experiment 1222, is a large yet slender creature that resembles a spider. She has 2 arms and 2 legs that can stretch to incredibly long distances. She also has a neck that can stretch far as well. Now, she doesn't actually have any teeth. Her mouth is just a black void, meaning she likely cannot chew on what she eats. This is important. Now, like I said, Mommy Longlegs resembles that of a spider. She has many spider-like qualities, being her limbs, the way she moves, and acts. So how do spiders eat? Spiders digest their food outside of their bodies. After their prey is captured, spiders expel digestive enzymes from their intestinal tract onto their victim. The enzymes break down its body tissues, and after a few seconds, the spider sucks up the pre-digested liquid tissue, meaning spiders do not always need to chew their food. They can just suck it up when it's turned into a liquid. This is likely the same way Mommy Longlegs eats, and this is why she doesn't have or even need teeth. She likely digests the human body before even eating it by spitting up special enzymes that break down human tissue. This would explain why her long, thin neck is possible. She is only ever drinking liquid. She doesn't need a thick passageway. This allows for her neck to be able to stretch to incredibly long distances. So what about Boxy Boo? He is a box-shaped creature with springs that connect to his body, a colorful jack-in-the-box toy. So his limbs resemble a spring, and the neck spring likely has a thin passageway. He has a very large mouth with many large sharp pointy teeth and no tongue, just a hole leading to the neck spring. Now, we have actually seen Boxy Boo eat a human before. After Rowenstahl ends his final recording, we see him walk downstairs towards the theater's backstage. We watch as Boxy Boo jumps out of his box and bites down on half of Rowenstahl's body and pulls him back inside of his box. This tells us a lot and gives us a size perspective on just how big Boxy Boo is compared to other humans. We also saw something similar to this in Project Playtime's cinematic trailer. So considering how Boxy Boo was able to fit half of a human body inside of his mouth unchewed, it's likely that once he starts chewing with his many sharp teeth, he is able to fit the whole body inside of his mouth, meaning Boxy Boo would have to chew a lot before he's able to swallow a full body down such a thin passageway. So what else could be used to aid in this process to make it easier? Digestive enzymes. Boxy Boo likely releases special enzymes inside of his mouth that help soften his food before he swallows it. This would allow him to fit any food through such a small passageway. That is how Boxy Boo eats. Keep in mind, Boxy Boo was created before Mommy Longlegs. The creation of Boxy Boo is what allowed Playtime Co. to design another toy with such special digestive properties like him, to use enzymes to help aid in the digestive process. This allowed Playtime Co. to design a creature such as Mommy Longlegs to resemble a spider so accurately. Now, I want to point out one more thing. Throughout Chapter 3, you will run into various vending machines inside of certain buildings. These vending machines are not completely empty, meaning these toys prefer human flesh. After all, Boxy Boo was trained to eat any human that found out about the Bigger Bodies initiative. That is how the creatures in Poppy Playtime are able to eat, some more terrifying than others. How do you guys think the toys in Poppy Playtime eat? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you like horror game content like this, please consider subscribing. Also, if you want to support the channel more, you can become a member. Don't forget to follow my Twitter at TerrifyT. Thanks for watching.